So welcome back to the Wheel of Chaos. If you missed the last episode, it told us we were going to Albania today, and I've already done the spinning of the wheel. So for those who don't know, who are new to the series, we pick a country, then we pick a club. Today we're going to Apolonia. I may have done this without recording it by accident because something went wrong. It's okay, it's fine. We're going to Apolonia. We are trying to win any continental competition, and we're trying to do it as a regular save with no rules. If you want to add challenges to this wheel, by the way, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. But for now, it's time for me to get my feet under the desk and try and win a continental trophy from Albania, for Albania's second tier, because that's where Apollonia are. Let's get into it. So, the Wheels of Chaos may have properly stitched me up on this one, because Apollonia are supposed to avoid relegation from the second tier of Albanian football this season. We have no transfer or wage budget, and we are predicted to lose a small fortune. And whilst we have quite a lot of players across our three teams, and our star player Kofi Ayivi from Togo would probably be a decent League One or Championship player, as would our star striker Rubin Habeja, the quality drops off very quickly. Underbusi Ene, our fifth best player in the squad, would struggle to get a game in the National League. So I'm going to have to look for reinforcements and try and get us promoted from this division, which won't be easy because the Kategoria Parë has 2 automatic promotion spots, but also 4 playoff promotion spots. And that playoff is a little bit complicated as you go through a semi-final, then a final, and then you hope the game doesn't bug out. No spoilers. I have spent a lot of time recruiting though. Marcus Hill joined us on loan from Crystal Palace to give us an extra body in goal. Egyptian Osam Mohamed, a defensive midfielder, will give us a little bit of extra weight in the defensive midfield line. Riyad Anuidi is a French right-back who has actually been playing in Albania previously, who doesn't look too bad but could develop. Oluwatomisin Salako is a centre-half from Canada with room to grow. Nathan Silva comes in from the US, a number 10, again with more room to grow. Megan Mitani is a 36-year-old Albanian left-back who goes straight into the first team. Olalekan Aliu is another number 10, another youngster at 21 who will be a starting player for us this season. Gonzalo Aguido is a Chilean centre-half who joins us on loan from Union La Calera. Mario Barajamaj, I'm never going to get these names right, is another number 10 from Albania who will be a starter and is a very good player. Another tongue twister is Samik Eliev, a centre-half from Azerbaijan, an international for Azerbaijan, who will also provide competition at the back, on loan to us from Ignatia in the top flight. Eduardo Simo is a left wing-back, joins us from Deportivo Madrid in Argentina, who looks like he could become an incredibly good player. Kalistor Nwatsok is a Cameroonian on loan from FK Oriku. He's a right winger that can play pretty much everywhere in midfield and could become really valuable as a rotation option. German striker Lucas Steinfeld joins us on loan from Preußen Munster. He's going to have to find some goals for us, though he will just be a rotation option. Orian Shemalash is on loan to us from Lushnia in the top flight of Albania, another striker to give us extra firepower. Ray Picani is a defensive midfielder who joins us from Skendebo in the top flight. Shibriel Darkawi is a German right winger, joins us from Saarbrücken, who will be looking to for a lot of assists this year. Bruno Meoki is a Spaniard who comes in holding midfield from Logroñés in Spain. And finally, 24-year-old Serbian centre-half Stanislav Seljajic comes in on loan from Leganes, looks like a very good player. And because we've got so many good strikers in our squad now, we'll be lining up like this season with a 4-3-3 with a defensive midfielder narrow in possession, out of possession. Diego, the left winger, or the striker, goes out to the left wing. I'm hoping he'll be a big source of goals for us this season. Let's see how we get on. So come the end of the season, we finish third in the second tier of Albania. And you can see the little P there. We have secured promotion. That's because we fought through the promotion playoffs, which are more complicated than I let on in that first part of the video. So in the semi-final, we beat Borelli 2-0. In the final, we beat Lecce 3-1. But then we had to play Bailis from the Kategoria Superior, the top division, and we beat them 2-0 in the final. In terms of top performers, we had Chevelin Trifoni scoring 15 goals in 23 games, assisted by Mohamed Yakubu getting 12 in 33, and Ruben Habeja getting 11 goals in 19 games, with Umijego carrying some of the load with his 6'8" frame. But 7 ratings all around for those guys. And actually, Kofi Aivi was doing okay with a 6.95 and 6 assists from left back, but he won't renew his contract for next season. So we've got some rebuilding to do. And we do have one added complication as we go into season 2. Because despite promotion, we still don't have much of a transfer budget, and that wage budget will not go nearly as far as you think it would do. In Albania, we are going to have to reshuffle. So let's go meet some new signings. So for season number 2, our transfer strategy took a slightly different track as we started to scout far and wide throughout Europe, as well as picking up, frankly, as many players released from the Premier League as we possibly could. The stars of the show this season will be goalkeeper Cristian Baldovino, a Colombian goalkeeper signed on a free from Atletico Huila, Malian striker Amadou Traore signed on a free from our league rivals Lecce, Argentine winger Lucas Delgado, who joins us on a free transfer from Argentino in Argentina, and Brazilian centre-half Marcos Ramos, who joins us on a free from divisional rivals Skenderbo. Now, despite our promotion, we are predicted to finish in 8th place in the Kategoria Superior in our first season. That would see us go into the bottom playoff that saw us promoted last season, so we want to avoid that at all costs. And tactically, I've switched things up to something a lot less experimental. It's a 4-4-2 Route 1, just to keep us, hopefully, ticking over and surviving. We can't play fancy football in this division. We're going to have to just play attacking smash and grab football. Let's see how it shakes out. And by the end of Season 2, we have found our way to a very respectable 5th place in the Kategoria Superior, just 7 points behind Tirana and qualification for the Champions playoff, because in Albania, beyond the league stage, the top 4 go into a semi-final and then a final to decide who becomes the champions of Albania. And our next goal is going to be to kick on and get ourselves into that top 4 if we can. And we've got a budget to do it with of £0. And we're overspending our wage budget. But we can still do a little bit of trickery in the background to get ourselves there. Nothing with the editor. Don't panic. I'm still a purist. But let's have a look at what we've got squad-wise as well in terms of performers. And we'll see there have been a couple of signings across the way this season that have helped us out, including Alex Almaraz, who has been a winger for us, racking up a 7.29 rating. He signed for us on a free from Racing Club after a weird spell. He came in on trial and then he's been playing for our B team, getting fit. But he has done very well for us this season. We also have the benefit of the addition of Ivan Guerrero, a right-back from Spain, 26 years old, who joined us on a free from Samosas. And a January window loan of Agustin Villasanti, an Argentine left-back from Magpies in Gibraltar, who has come in and played very, very well for us. And goals were fine, I suppose, for us this season. Ruben Habeja got 9 in 29. Lucas Gerberville has played 33 games and also scored 9. He was another new signing for this season, another Argentine. We've done very well plucking from the Argentine leagues. This one came from Deportivo La Ferrere. But again, we finished 5th in the top flight. You can see how far we are away from a European trophy because he would struggle to get a game in League 2. And of course, our Malian striker Amadou Traore ended up with 5 goals in the league from 18 appearances. But going into Season 3, I knew we needed to kick on. And even though this season we are still expected to only finish 8th in the top flight, I think another raft of new signings, a lot of them from the Premier League, can help us over the line. Our big signing of the summer is Mansour Fofana, a winger, an Ivory Coast winger from ASEC Mimosas. He signed on a free transfer and has 4-star current ability, but he has peaked in terms of his potential. We've also been seeing over the course of the slow emergence of this guy, Siljo Aslani, an Albanian player, centre-half, who has become quite big for us and just slowly been gathering recognition as one of our top players. In the midfield, a player I didn't highlight before, Santiago Santa Cruz, has become vital for us, but he's not a new signing, because the new signing I'm most excited for you to meet is Marco Tulio Gallego, a Colombian striker who looks like he could be very, very good for this level at 3.5-star ability. Joins on a free from Toplitzin in El Salvador, which is a wild place to be finding a Colombian striker, but he is 31. And remember how I said I've been signing players from the Premier League? Amari Moses, a left winger, a Dutch left winger, comes in on a free for us at 18 years old from Everton. So, can this team be the one that finally gets us qualification for European football? That's the big question. And the big answer is yes, because we made it into the top 4 Champions playoff at the second time of asking in the Kategoria Superior, which took us, of course, into the semi-final, where unfortunately we lost 3-0 to Tirana. But because of this, we do in fact have a place in the Europa Conference League for next season. The media don't think we can repeat our top 4 finish this season. They're saying we'll finish just 6th in the table, but Herbesia has become one of the media Dream 11, which is always a good sign. And even though we didn't spend big in the transfer window, there were still a few big signings. Argentine left winger Geronimo Campos joins us on a free transfer from Lecce, and he brings pace and hopefully some good crossing ability to help us find some goals. Rosel Angelo will join us as a left back. He comes in on a free from Salford. And keep an eye out for Roman Focos, who joins us from Almirante Brown in Argentina. And by the end of August, when the transfer window shuts, you can already see Ruben Herbesia is on fire in the Europa Conference League. He's had 12 goals in 9 appearances and a 7.99 rating. And in case you're wondering how that campaign is going, which I'm sure you were, we started off with a 3-0 win at home against Pristina. We then drew 2-2 in the second leg of the first qualifying round to send us through, where we played Aberdeen and lost 3-2 at Pitodri, before smashing them 5-1 at home to take us to the third qualifying round of the Europa Conference League, where we played Paphos from Greece and won 3-0 away from home, before taking a 1-1 draw at our place to go through to the playoff first leg. Where away from home, we faced Bologna and got a 1-1 draw, and then came crashing down to earth when they beat us 4-1 at our place to end our European dreams for another season, but to show we can compete with bigger clubs than you might have thought. But at the end of season 4, we managed to not only top the table, but as we go into the Champions playoff, we beat Partizani 2-1 after extra time in the semi-final, and then Tirana 3-1 after extra time, to become, after only 4 seasons, the champions of Albania. But that doesn't mean our job is done, it just means we have Champions League qualification. The board are allegedly backing us with £240,000 of transfer budget and an extra £223,000 per year of wage budget. But the club have also become semi-professional, having been professional when we started, because we did have some rocky financial times. On the pitch, though, some surprise players have been massive for us in terms of goals scored. Ruben Herbesia gets 21 goals from 31 appearances, as Mansour Fofana gets 23 goal contributions from 44, and just ahead of him, in fact, on 24 goal contributions in 44, is Santiago Santa Cruz, with new signing from the January window, Carlos Felix coming in with 11 goals in 16. He comes on a free from AR Tuzo in Mexico and looks like he could have some big potential. And in terms of the average range, there are some homegrowns here as well. Costa Vangeli, the right back, 39 appearances for an 8.27. We've not talked about him yet. He is looking decent enough here. We have to have 5 Albanian players in the squad for match days. He joined us a couple of seasons ago on a free from Skendabo and has been very, very consistent in our team. But I do want to highlight someone who will be a big star for us going forward, and that's Dylan McCarthy. And Dylan McCarthy is Albanian. He's on loan to us from Parë. He has got a transfer arranged for us. 25 appearances in the league this season, 7 goals, 10 assists, 7.27 rating. And you're thinking, Dylan McCarthy's a very strange name for an Albanian. He is also Irish. He just happens to have been born in Albania. I didn't ask any questions beyond that. I just saw an Albanian named Dylan McCarthy and went with it. And he looks good. Now, despite being the champions, the media only expected us to finish 5th in the league going into season number 5. And I have, for the first time, spent some money on some players. Yunus Tassambedo joins us from the US Forces Armées in Burkina Faso. I believe we signed him directly from Burkina Faso. We did. He has previously played in Spain, though, for clubs like Betis. He is a holding midfielder who looks like he could be reasonably decent for us. 23 caps for his country. Another £92,000 brings in Emiliano Mihana, a left winger from our rivals Tirana. He has big potential to grow at just 21 years old. And we've also signed Lushim Ajdini. I'll learn to pronounce names. He comes in from Skendebro, one of our rivals, after a couple of loans for £82,000. Very much one for the future as a centre-half, but at 6'3", should be able to contribute for us down the line. But let's not sleep on Colombian free transfer Jean Guzman, who will provide us some extra creativity in midfield. He joins us from Bogota. Mexican Oscar Ochoa, who joins us from Mineros Querétaro in Mexico. Another free left wing or a striker who does look very good all around and will be responsible for some goals this season. And just to mix things up, goalkeeper Tom Booth, who joined us on a free transfer from Crewe and does become our first choice goalkeeper. But you're probably wondering, what about the Champions League? Well, we started off with Shamrock Rovers at home and got a nice comfortable 3-0 win after they had a man sent off, before losing 3-2 in the away leg in Ireland to get ourselves through by the skin of our teeth, with San Marinese international Nicola Nani getting on the score sheet in that game, which took us to play Coops in the second qualifying round. They are, I believe, from Finland, and we beat them 3-2 at home, before losing 4-0 away. But all was not lost, because that took us into the Europa League. And in the Europa League third qualifying round, we beat KI Klaksvik 3-1 at home with a hat-trick from Nicola Nani, before beating them 3-1 away, and looking very, very strong to go into the UEFA Europa League playoff first leg, where we played Viking Reykjavik and drew 1-1 at home with one of the biggest clubs in Iceland, before smashing them 2-0 away from home to qualify for the Europa League proper, our first league stage at the second time of asking. But our fixtures in the Europa League will not be easy. First off, we play Ajax at home. We then play Ludogorets Ratsgrad away from home, before welcoming FC Twente from the Netherlands, visiting Villarreal, then visiting Maribor, welcoming AEK Athens, and just to round things off, we visit Rennes and welcome Slavia Prague. I don't think we're winning a European trophy this season. Now, tactically, we've settled over the last couple of seasons into a quite comfortable 4-3-3 tiki-taka, which should help us out this season. But I'm hoping that we can repeat our league title win, get ourselves back into Europe, and start to build a squad that can maybe snag a European trophy. So let's see how we do this season domestically. And we had to work hard to win the title this year, beating Vlašnia on penalties after a 2-2 draw in regular time. But we are the champions of Albania again. And the board have backed us going into the Champions League with £1 million in transfer funds and $694,000 in additional wage budget. This season's big stars were, of course, Ruben Habeja, who got 34 appearances, 13 goals, but more than half of his appearances came from the bench. Oscar Ochoa got 10 goals in 24, and Nicola Nani managed 10 goals in 16, despite not being good enough for this league. So we've had a good season all round. In terms of our average ratings, though, Ronnie Stutter has snuck in there. You might recognise him if you've been watching my streams. Rosel Angelo, our star performer, 43 appearances, 1 goal, 9 assists for a 7.13, Ochoa on a 7.12, Vangeli on a 7.05, Nani racking up a 7.03, and Rodrigo Biondi, another right-back, racking up a 7.01. We've not really seen anything of this Argentine, but he joined us on a free a few seasons ago from San Lorenzo and has slowly been working his way up into the squad. In Season 6, we are still not predicted to win the league, but we are predicted now to finish 4th. We do have Ochoa in the Dream 11, which is nice to see. And in terms of our recruitment, we've only signed one player for money this season, despite having £1 million to spend. That was Indian international Brandon Kayla, who joins us from Peterborough for the princely sum of £16,500, but feels like a good all-round player who can definitely play at a reasonable standard. He's joined, though, by Argentine fullback Mauro Luque. He came in on a free transfer from Cardiff and is already one of our better players at 31. Left back Enzo Abose also comes on a free, 16 caps and a goal for Cameroon. Another great-looking player joins us from Elche. Reinforcing our defence for Europe, Modou Kebasise is Senegalese. Another free transfer with 4-star ability and potential joins on a free from Austria Lustenau, having previously played for Aston Villa. If I had to pick a star for the future, it would be Nigerian Sam Raksaki. He's a central midfielder, joins us from Remo Stars in Nigeria, but previously played for Chelsea and for Exeter City. But do keep an eye out for 2 big signings for this season. Salah Oulad Mahan, a product of the Arsenal Youth Academy, a Dutchman. He joins us on a free after spending a few years playing for Bristol Rovers, but crucially does have experience at a top level playing for FC Basel, so he does know what he's doing when it comes to high-pressure games. And he'll be joined by probably our biggest name signing of the save so far, Jack Stacey, the former Luton right-back, also played for Norwich and for Bournemouth, has played a lot of Premier League and Championship football over the course of his career, and that could be vital for us as we look to add just a bit of experience into our defence as well. And finally, a change between the sticks for us this season as Elia Tantalocci comes in as a goalkeeper, an Italian 26-year-old on a free transfer from Sampdoria. And no changes tactically this season, but you can see how well our players are growing because we are 4 stars or around 4 stars across the board, pretty much. And should be more than set to win the league, but you again want to know how we're doing in Europe because that's the goal, right? Well, we started off losing 1-0 to Maribor in the Champions League. We then lost 3-0 to Maribor in the Champions League, which for some reason dropped us into the Europa Conference League qualifying path, not the Europa League one, where we lost 3-0 to Punic, followed by a 4-3 loss to Punic. We're out of Europe already. So we're going to need a big season to have any chance at all of getting back to our main task of winning a European trophy. So naturally, we secure promotion for the Champions League again by becoming the champions of Albania with a 4-0 win over Tuta in the final. In the semi-final, we had to fight through Dinamo City, who are coming on very strong. And in the league stage, we finished 7 points clear of Vllaznia to make it all the way to the title, which is very, very strong. In terms of our transfer budgets for this summer, 650k, but I've got to cut the wage budget. And in terms of our star players, there's a couple of faces we've either not talked about coming in or have come in during January. Maximo Ingravidi is an Argentine striker. He has come in this season and scored 14 goals in 32 games. He joined us from Vélez Sarsfield on a free. In fact, he joined us last season. It's just taken a while to get into our team and really break through, but he's looking like a decent player. Dylan McCarthy has come on leaps and bounds, getting 16 goals in 36 appearances, as well as 7 assists. And he just keeps growing as a player. Still hasn't made his full international debut for Albania yet, though. And we see Salah Oulad Mahan has had 31 appearances, 8 goals, 8 assists, and another name that's popped up into our team over the last couple of years, under the radar, I guess, is Indonesian international centre-half Alkan Bagat, 72 caps, 7 goals for them. He has had a couple of, he joined us on a free from Ipswich last year. I think it was in January he joined us. But this season, 24 league appearances, 7 goals, 2 assists, 2 players in the match, 7.25 rating. He's actually had 31 appearances, 7 goals, and a 7.12 over the course of the season, but certainly has not done anything to be ashamed of. And actually a name I didn't mention at the start of the season was Usman Kane. Now he has had just 13 appearances and 4 goals for a 7.08 rating this season. He's 29 years old from Senegal, but a real workhorse in our midfield. Joined us from Generation Foot, 9 caps for Senegal, and I didn't pay a penny for him, which is not a bad piece of business. But you're probably wondering, how am I going to spend all of that money going into the next season with another crack at Europe? And will we ever manage to win a European trophy? It's a great question. Let's go find out. Season 7 sees us predicted to be, for the first time, top of the table, which is amazing when you think about it, with just 2 players, though, in the Dream 11, showing how close the media think the league will actually be this year. And if you want signings, the highlight will be Enes Ujkai, who joins us for £135,000 from Ignatia in the top flight here in Albania, who will certainly be competing for the number 1 shirt with our big Italian Anton Booth. It's become a 3-way fight for the number 1 shirt. And also a name to get yourself used to, Edwin Corcoran joins us from the Austin FC Academy in the US. He is, of course, an American and a striker. 15 finishing, 13 composure, 16 pace. Expect him to be a big part of this team going forward. In the Champions League, we've played Olimpia Ljubljana and lost 1-0 away before beating them 4-0, bringing them back to our place, which let us play Universitatea Craiova and beat them 1-0 in, is that Romania, Moldova? I always forget which one it is. Romania. Then we drew 2-2 at home, taking us to the 3rd round of Champions League qualifying, where we drew 1-1 with AIK Stockholm before beating them 2-0 at home, to take us to the playoff, where we lost 5-1 at home to Dinamo Zagreb before beating them 2-1 away from home. But we still go into the Europa League. And in the Europa League, we've got some interesting fixtures. First up, Dinamo Batumi, where we have some hope maybe. Spartak Trnava are next, followed by FK Shenkoli, who I think might be from Kosovo, Albania. You'd think I'd have noticed us playing them, but I hadn't. Then we play Tottenham, and then we play Trabzonspor, and then we play Rosenborg, and then Punic, who beat us quite handily last time, and then Marseille, and then Red Bull Salzburg. And quick interlude, because I've just remembered I didn't tell you about our last European campaign from a couple of seasons ago and how that went, because I'm an idiot. So, quick sidebar for that one then. We lost 3-2 to Ajax. We drew 1-1 with Ludogorets Rasgrad in that run. We then lost 4-0 to SC Twente, lost 4-0 to Villarreal, drew 2-2 with Maribor, lost 3-2 to AEK Athens. We lost 4-1 to Rennes, and we lost 3-1 to Slavia Prague. So if you're wondering why I didn't cover that's why. But let's fast forward to this season, shall we? Because in this season's Europa League, we started things off with a 4-2 win over Dinamo Batumi. We then lost 5-2 to Spartak Trnava. We lost 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur, 3-1 to Trabzonspor, and 2-1 to Rosenborg. Sorry, we beat Rosenborg 2-1, I should say. We then beat Punic 4-1, lost 4-1 to Marseille, and you're doing the maths in your head and thinking, well, you went out in the group stage. Well, we beat Red Bull Salzburg 2-0 at home, and for some reason the game won't let me show you the group stage because FM26, but we got to the knockout playoff round and lost 5-0 to AC Milan at home before losing 3-0 to AC Milan in Milan. But to be honest, it's the knockouts of a European tournament. We are getting closer. But what about domestically, you're probably asking yourself? Well, great question, because we once again became the champions of Albania with a 3-0 win over Tirana. The league stage of things, honestly, was not anything to really trouble us too much. I say that, we finished level on points with Partizani, but we had a plus 29 goal difference. They had a plus 13. We've almost doubled their goal difference. And as we made it through the playoffs, we then played Teuta, who we beat 3-0 in the semi-final, before beating Tirana 3-0 in the final. It was never in doubt. It's been a good season. In terms of our squad this year, we have had 19 goals from Gonçalo Alves, who I don't think I highlighted at the start of the season. He joined us from Melbourne Victory after a weird career, an Argentine winger who is a goal-scoring machine for us, apparently. He was helped once again by Maximo Ingrevari, who gets 7 goals in 33. Says 12 in 50 there. I don't know why that... There. So 19 in 51 for Alves, 12 in 50 for Ingrevari. Dylan McCarthy, 12 in 41 this season. And then coming up quietly from midfield, Usman Kane, 38 appearances, 8 goals and an assist. And a player we didn't talk much about, John Guzman, has played 51 times this season, scored 8 goals and got himself 12 assists. John Guzman is a Colombian that joined us from Bogota a few years ago and has just gone quietly from strength to strength in our midfield. But we are at the end of the season. Let's go and have a look at transfer budget, shall we? And our transfer budget's 3.2 million and 527,000 in additional wage budget to spend. So hopefully big signings to come in this summer. So going into Season 8, we are predicted to finish top on evens odds, and we've got a lot of our players in that Dream 11 slowly creeping in. And we have spent a lot of money over the summer with Alexis Martin, a central midfielder who can play all the way up the centre, Argentinian, 19 years old, joining us from Instituto ACC for £675,000, by far our biggest signing so far. A young prospect I'm hoping will develop into something very, very special for us. He's joined for 150k by Teo Subaloye, who joins us from Colchester, a centre-half who is very good for this level. All the physicals and mentals are there. Maybe not the technicals, but 24, still a bit of room to grow. Could establish himself quite nicely in our squad. Another 150k brings in Eduardo Longo from Tirana, our divisional rivals, a 19-year-old homegrown Albanian who looks like a very, very good prospect for us as well. £77,000 brings in the comically named Apostolopoulos. I've been practicing that. A left-back from Greece. He's coming from Arezzo in Italy, also has previously played for Sud Tirol, but has done some time in Serie B as well as the Greek Super League. Albanian right-winger Reza Zheshari joins us as well. He looks like a very good player. Somehow no caps for Albania. He's cost us £74,000 from Wiesbaden in the Dreiliga in Germany, having previously played for Bochum. Luxembourg defender Miguel Gonçalves, 42 caps at 28 years old. He joins on a deal from FC Homburg in Germany, a £52,000 deal, previously of Dudelange in Luxembourg. But this must be 4th or 5th tier in Germany. Frankly, I think he looks like far too good a player for this level, but, you know, their loss, our gain. Our latest Albanian wonderkid is Fortunato Marcantoni, central midfielder, 19 years old, looks this good already. 3-star current ability, I think maybe 4.5-star potential ability. He joins us from Flamatari, was on loan at Toita last season, but we've only paid 40k for him. He's had one appearance, 1 goal, 1 assist already, and I think looks really special. Talking of Toita, we've also robbed them for Kavan Bloniarczyk, a centre-half from Poland. He has cost us the massive sum of £34,500, once played for Swansea. And our final money signing is a centre-half, Emmanuel Delalio, who comes in from Argentina. He's cost us very little money, £10,500 from Tristan Suarez, which sounds more like a person than a club. But what do I know? 27 years old, extra strength in our defence. We're looking very, very good this season. And that's before I even highlight free transfers like Ben Godfrey, who joins on a free from Leva Diakos. Previously, of course, of Norwich, of Everton, has been playing in Italy of late. Once went for £7.5 million to Atalanta, and indeed from Norwich to Everton for £25 million. Now finds himself playing in Albania after a spell in Greece. I can't figure it out, but I'll take him. I also want to highlight Haitian right-back Jean-Max Louis-Jean as a prospect for the future. He comes in on a free transfer from the Charlotte Eagles. Also, maybe don't sleep on American Carlos Velasquez, a left-back who comes in for free from Aries Sports Center FC. Colombian left-back Kevin Estupiñán joins us, 3.5-star ability, potentially 5-star ability, 21 years old, quick as lightning, free transfer from Aguias Doradas. And while I could do this all day because I've added so many players to the squad, just 3 more I'll introduce you to for now, just to keep this as quick and simple as possible. Daniel Gore, who plays for Manchester United in real life, is a very, very good central midfielder for any level, to be honest. He's joined us on a free from Crewe. Since leaving United in this universe, he's played for Millwall as well. Never pulled up any trees, but some consistent EFL football and a lot of championship appearances. 2 goals in 2 games and 3 assists already since joining us. And because you can never have enough goalkeepers, Alexei Rojas Fedoroshenko, we all always sign him at some stage, Colombian/Ukrainian goalkeeper, who is on the books at Arsenal in real life. In this universe, he's been to Hull and now joins us. Has played a lot of League 2 football. I'm thinking of him mostly as a backup, though, for us this season. So, what are our European adventures so far? Great question. We are in the Champions League, of course. 6-2 win over OFK Petrovac, followed by a 2-2 draw to get through to round 2 of qualifying. Well, we played Breiðablik of Iceland, a 1-0 win at home, a 4-1 win away from home, which took us to Tel Aviv in Israel for a 4-0 win at home and a 3-0 win away from home against Maccabi Tel Aviv. We then got to the playoff where we played Rangers and beat them 2-1 at home before losing 3-0 at Ibrox, which has knocked us back down into the Europa League once again, where we will play this season FC Copenhagen, FC Zurich, Donetsk Streda, Ajax once again, Maccabi Tel Aviv once again, Istanbul Başakşehir, FC Porto, and Lyon. If you were expecting this season to be the one where we won a European trophy, you were going to be disappointed. We lost 1-0 to Copenhagen, 3-2 to Zurich. We beat Donetsk Streda 1-0. We then drew 3-3 with Ajax, which gave me a little bit of hope. And then we drew 1-1 with Maccabi Tel Aviv. And then we lost 6-2 to Istanbul Başakşehir, 7-1 to Porto, and 4-0 to Lyon. But there was good news elsewhere this season. We beat Skenderbo 1-0 in the Supercopa Shqiptare, which is the Super Cup of Albania. We then beat them again in the final of the National Cup to make it a double. But because it's what we do, we also beat Partizani 3-1 in the Champions Playoff final to once again become champions of Albania and win a treble. The funny thing is, this year we didn't even win the league stage. We finished 9 points behind Valashnia. I remember how I said, remember Edwin Corcoran's name? 25 goals in 42 games for us up front this season for the young American, who is starting to develop very slowly. He's been helped out with 11 goals in 47 by Dylan McCarthy, 25 goal contributions in 40 from Carlos Cantillo, and 17 in 28 from Gonzalo Alves. But we now have another £1 million and £250,000 in wage budget to reinforce our squad for another crack at European football. And I spent £1 million on Paolo Sheppi, a defensive midfielder who comes in from Sampdoria. Previously of Juventus, has played quite a lot of football in Serie A and Serie B, and really does add a lot to our central midfield. He'll be joined by Finn Back on a free transfer from West Brom, who looks like a good all-round defender for us. Hassler Waldron, a Colombian who signs for us on a free from Atlético Nacional, 22 years old and looking very good already. Italian 19-year-old Ivan Doria, a central midfielder with some growth potential, comes in from Napoli. And Rodolfo Almazan is joining us on a free as well, a left-back from Mexico, who actually joins us from Belish in the Albanian top flight, but I spotted him floating around, and he looks like he could be a very good addition to our squad. But once again, you're going to be asking, what of our European campaign? Well, we started off in the Champions League first round in San Marino with La Fiorita as our opponents and an 8-0 demolition job. I then brought them back to Albania to beat them 7-0, a 15-0 aggregate score in the Champions League. But obviously it was just a team from San Marino. There's no possible way we could do another big score against anyone else. Vardar Skopje 1-0 at home against us to make us work in the second leg by casually beating them 10-0 in Albania. We then beat Universitatea Cluj 6-1 in Albania, followed by a 3-1 win in Romania to see us through to the playoff first leg. We drew Magpies of Gibraltar 1-1 and then beat them 3-0 in Albania to send us for the first time into the league phase of the Champions League, where our opponents will be Galatasaray in hell, Rangers at home, Villarreal away, Atletico Madrid at home, Napoli away, Roma at home, Apoel Nicosia away, and RB Leipzig at home. There is a reasonable chance that when I read out those names to you, you had a very similar reaction to the one I did, and it wasn't good. So when I tell you we lost 3-2 to Galatasaray, you're probably less than surprised. When I tell you we lost 1-0 to Rangers, probably still not that surprised. How about when I tell you we drew 1-1 away at Villarreal, and then drew 1-1 at home to Atletico Madrid, and then drew 2-2 away at Napoli, and then got smashed 6-1 by Roma at home. But then we beat Apoel and lost to RB Leipzig, which frustratingly meant we finished 28th in the league table, just 2 points behind Porto. One lucky goal somewhere would have seen us to the knockouts of the Champions League. But all was not lost for us domestically. We beat Partizani 3-1 to claim the Supercopa Shqiptare. We even made it a double by beating Vlašnia in the Albanian Kupa Shqiptarci. And to be honest, unless I tell you otherwise from this point out, just assume we won a treble, because we also beat Skendebo to win the championship after working our way through Partizani again and winning the league by 11 points. And in terms of goal scoring this year, we've come on leaps and bounds. Daniel Gore has had 22 goals and 13 assists in 50 appearances this season. Willa Otalora, who I don't even think I mentioned when he came in, 50 appearances, 22 goals, 8 assists. This lad looks incredible. A left winger that we signed last season from Atletico Huila for £225,000 looks incredible. Carlos Cantillo manages 40 goal contributions in 49 games. Rezat Jashari manages 27 in 44. Dylan McCarthy has 18 in 18 starts, but 45 appearances overall. For 41 appearances overall, Corcoran 13 goals and 4 assists. And Rodrigo Fernandez, our right back, gets 7 goals and 14 assists this season. But you can just see, if I go by average rating here, just how dominant we've been in the league. More than half our squad is on a 7 average rating or above, and they've all played reasonably regularly. It's been a bit of a murder this season. So going into season number 10, we've got a £7.25 million transfer budget and £1.61 million a year to spend on wages. And we're going to have to spend big this year to have any chance of a European trophy. So let's go see what I've turned that into. And when I say I spent big in the transfer window this year, I spent £7 million. 1.7 of that went on Danish striker Alexander Lindt, who joined us from Pisa in the Italian Serie A, where he's been reasonably consistent as a goal scorer, if not spectacular, but gives us a big man up top, which we've not had the entire time. He's joined by Alexandro Concha from Colombia, another striker who joins us from Alianza Valledupar, who are a second-tier team in Colombia, but he's only 20 years old, so he will grow. I spent another £750,000 on Johan Hurtado, 2-star current ability, 5-star potential from Aguias Doradas, who are another Colombian hunting ground of ours. Aurel Hassani is an Albanian centre-half who joins us from Vlašnia, our close rivals. He cost us just over £500,000, but came through the youth academy at RB Leipzig and has been on loan in Japan, of all places. So he's had a wild career already at 24. Just over £500,000 bought us Jörg Mikowski, a German from Osnabrück. And he looks like a good one for the future. You'll notice a lot of these players are, in fact, players for the future. I decided with £7.5 million to spend, I should probably invest in some players to develop so that we can actually make a good crack at a European trophy somewhere down the line. And so our transfers continue. Essentially, just know that I spent a lot of £1 million on players, but possibly the biggest one we'll sign all season is this guy, Josh Sonny Lambie. He comes in on a free transfer from Middlesbrough. He is a striker and a winger. He can finish. He's pretty quick. Everything's in the right range to be very, very special. But you, as always, want to know how we've done in Europe. Well, let's take you through our run. A 9-0 win in the first Champions League qualifying game against Drita started us off nicely, to the point where I played the youth team in the second leg and still won 3-0. Now, I knew this season that having got a few very good draws in the Champions League group stage, we might be a cut above. So when we went to play Celje in the second qualifying round of the Champions League and drew 2-2, and then lost on penalties, I thought maybe there's a bit of hope lost there. But then we dropped into the Europa League, drew 1-1 with Malmo, and lost 3-1 to Malmo at home to go out of the Europa League. But then I remembered the Conference League is a thing. In the Champions Pass playoff, we beat Veleš Mostar 7-1 at home and 4-1 away. That takes us into the group stage, or the league phase, where we beat Rapid Vienna 2-0, Celje 2-0, Aarhus from Denmark 3-1, lost 1-0 to Nordsjælland, lost 3-0 to Union Saint-Gilloise, before beating Lausanne 2-1. And if you were doing your maths as we went along, you'll realise that gave us 12 points in the Europa Conference League group table and sent us into the playoffs in 9th. And in the playoffs, we went to SK Brann and beat them 3-2 at their place in Norway before beating them 5-1 at home. And I felt like we might be cooking at this phase. So when we drew Mainz from Germany and got a 0-0 draw against them at home, I thought, okay, they're going to batter us in Germany. We had a good run. This has been fine. And then we beat them 1-0 in Germany. And for those of you keeping score, that put us in the quarter-finals of the Europa Conference League, where we would draw Newcastle, or more accurately, where we would beat Newcastle 1-0 at St James's Park and 3-2 at our place. And yes, we did make it through 4-2 on aggregate. We're in the semi-final of the Europa Conference League. And we've seen our opponents before because it's Aarhus from Denmark. So naturally, when we went on the attack against Aarhus, or AGF, I was a little bit worried because our defence is rocky at best, but our goalkeeper was looking strong, looking fine, looking good. We were all ready to have a good time in the Europa Conference League semi-final. Sonny Lambie went on a run. I was nice and relaxed, feeling good. And then Ottalora scored the opener, and it was all limbs. And then just a few minutes later, and when I say just a few, I mean literally 2 minutes later, we got the ball again. And we built a lovely passing move, a lovely attack around all of our players, where Mundell found a cross, and we found another goal, courtesy of Ed Corcoran. Daniel Gore then got a penalty after 50 minutes, and would you believe it, made it 3-0 to us at home in the semi-final of a European competition. But we weren't done, because injury time came around, and as it so often does, it brings up a surprise, some tired legs, some good stuff. And we were once again playing like prime Barcelona as Almazon put a ball through there for Galindo. He laid it back for Almazon again. And then Galindo did that to make it 4-0 after the first leg. And without wishing to bore you with another stack of goals, we then beat them 3-2 away. We were going to the Conference League final. And our opponents were Hellas Verona from Italy, as we went to Parë in Copenhagen, thoroughly expecting this ridiculously lucky run to end in the snow in Denmark in May, as Fiore got the first goal for Hellas Verona. And I was settling in at this point, expecting us to get absolutely smashed, because they're a Serie A club and we are an Albanian side. So when we hit them on the break, and Almazon played it through, finally looking for just a quick breakthrough to Jashari to make it 1-1, I started to sit up and take notice just a little bit. And then we did this, got an attack going from a set piece. Ottalora gets in and makes it 2-1 on the stroke of half-time to send us in at the break, leading the Europa Conference League final. And then just after half-time, we decided that we were going to have just a little bit more fun. Just a little bit more fun, just to keep us on our toes. As Kategoria plays in Jashari, Jashari lays it out for Mundell. Mundell goes looking for a cross, and Jashari scores to make it 3-1 after just 50 minutes of the Europa Conference League final. And it's confirmed with VAR. And a penalty from Hellas Verona, Abdulrahman, to make it 3-2. But that was all she wrote, because Apolonia are now the champions of Europe, European Conference League winners. And I declare this challenge complete in just 10 seasons. Which means just two things remain for this video. The first is, of course, to thank you for watching, remind you to like and subscribe. For some reason, 90% of the people who watch this channel aren't subscribed. You might be one of them. Do go check that. You will be able to find the save and all the tactics that have been used in it on the Patreon. You can find the link for that below, and it is quite cheap because I don't like robbing you just for the sake of giving you away a save to tinker with. Maybe you can take them to the Champions League. This team probably isn't that far away from achieving that, if I'm completely honest. Also, leave the comments down below, tell me what you think of this challenge. Leave me suggestions for additional challenges for future episodes of The Wheel of Chaos. What rules you'd like to see me try, what challenges you'd like to see me try. Suggestions are always welcome. Thank you very much for watching, but we do just have to go now and spin the Wheel of Chaos to see where we're going next. Now, we have, of course, taken Barbados and Albania off of the list for the Wheel of Chaos for the Wheel of Countries. We will not be going back there again in this series. We just have to click and see where we're ending up in the next episode of the Wheel of Chaos. And it's taking us to North Korea. I was desperately hoping that would say Norway. We're going to North Korea. I'll see you next time.